Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Zion Church. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, we would love for you to stay connected with us, and we have several ways that you can do that. First is through our Zion Anywhere app. That app can be downloaded on the Google Play Store or the App Store. Secondly is through social media. So feel free to follow us at Zion Church. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this sermon that's about to take place with our pastor, Keith Battle.
All right, I'm starting a new series today. It's called In God's Bag. And the idea of the series is that God always comes bearing gifts. He is a good God. He's so generous and so gracious. And his love is overwhelming. And certainly I cannot exhaust all the gifts that God has given us in 4 weeks. There's so much more in his bag that I have time to express. I mean, the gifts of God are precious and they're innumerable. It's his generosity. But I want to start this week with a particular gift. Each week I'm going to identify one gift out of God's bag. And this week I'm going to start with his promise. Everybody say, he promised to me. Yeah, God made us a promise. And here's the thing about God. When God makes a promise, you can bank on it. You can depend on it. Now, I don't know how to make this stand up, but you can count on it. When I was younger, if somebody gave you their word about something or they said they were going to do something, if you wanted to strengthen the validity of their commitment, you would say, you promise? And they wouldn't even have to say nothing. You know, they go like this. Remember that? Y'all remember that? It's called a pinky promise. Yeah. They didn't have to say nothing. Say, you bet. I bet you can bet on that. How many people remember somebody doing something like that? Yeah. We serve a God who doesn't even have to say anything. If you ask him, God, will you walk with me through this? God don't have to say nothing. He just go like this. I got you. God, will you be faithful to me to the end? I got you. God, will you keep my mind this holiday season from going crazy? Through these dark days, will you keep my mind? You said you'll keep me in perfect peace if my mind is stayed on thee. And God don't even have to say nothing. He just go like this. I got you. Yeah, I think we ought to have a t-shirt like this that goes like this. Yeah, just I'm hanging on to the promise of God. See, some of y'all don't really, the way you roll with God may be different. Everybody ain't on the same level in here. But some of us in here are hanging on to the promise of God. We ain't doing it our way anymore. We say, God, if you said it, that's what I'm going to stand on. I'm going to hold on to that. And you got some promises for me. Will you keep me in perfect peace? Will you work it out for me? Will you supply all my needs? He says, I got you. Will you open a door that no man can close? Yes, I got you. Will you close a door that no man can open? Yes, I got you. Will you love me when I let you down? I will never stop loving you. Will you ever leave me or forsake you? I will never leave you nor forsake you. Somebody give God a praise real quick just because he made you a promise. And he's a promise keeper. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A promise. For this message, I want to go to Psalm Isaiah 41. Yeah, Isaiah 41, verse 10. I'm going to look at one verse. I want to unpack this verse as we look at the promise, not just a promise of God, but the concept that he has made. He is committed to promises to us. This is what it says in Isaiah 41:10. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. Woo, Lord, open that up for us. Open your word that we might see what you're promising us. In this verse, there are 2 directives that God gives us. And there are 5 promises that he gives us. Now understand this, when God speaks to us in the scriptures, He may be talking to somebody directly, but he's always talking to us indirectly. Like God doesn't write a new Bible every day. Like God doesn't have a 2019 Bible for people who are in Prince George's County or people in Prince William County or people in the DMV or in the United States. God wrote a word, and his word is still good. So when God said this to Israel in Isaiah chapter 41, it still stands. That's why 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 11 says this. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 11 it says, these things happened to them as examples for us. They were written down to warn us who live at the end of the age. And then Romans 15:4 puts it like this. In Romans 15:4 it says, such things were written in the scriptures long ago to teach us. The scriptures give us hope and encouragement as we wait patiently for God's promises to be fulfilled. Like what he said to them applies to us. He's saying this to us, and he gives us two directives. The first directive is, don't be afraid. Look at somebody and say, fear not. Yeah, that's old King James. Fear not. Don't be afraid. Then the second directive he gives us is in the verse 2, and that is, don't be discouraged. Two directives. But he says, I got 5 promises to support why you need to obey my directives. And the first promise is, I'm with you. I am with you. The second promise is, I am your God. The third promise is, I will strengthen you. The fourth promise is, it looks like it's connected to the third one, but it's separate. I will also help you. And the fifth promise, y'all see it in the verse? I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. Woo, here are the promises of God. The promises of God. Let's walk through this and see what we can discover. First of all, God tells his children, he says, fear not. Don't be afraid. Fear. Everybody say fear. Fear is a powerful emotion. It is one of the things that triggers behavior, and it is something that also inhibits us from doing things. Out of fear, we say things we shouldn't say, and we do things we shouldn't do. Out of fear, we leave things undone that we should do, and we leave things unsaid that we should have said. And if somebody asks us, why did you do that? Why did you say that? I was scared. Well, how come you didn't do that? How come you didn't say that? I was scared. Fear. It first comes on the scene, Pastor Jeff, in Genesis chapter 3. The first scene of fear. It says in Genesis chapter 3, verse 8, that Adam and Eve heard, Old King James Version, the voice of the Lord walking in the cool of the garden. They heard his voice walking in the cool of the garden and got scared. Why would they be scared of that voice? It was not an unfamiliar voice. That voice has spoken to him before. That voice has spoke life into him and breathed breath into him. That voice had given him a job and told him how to tend the garden. That voice had directed him on how to name animals. That voice had given him a wife. That voice had spoken to him about what he should do and what he shouldn't do, what he should eat and what he shouldn't eat. He was familiar with that voice. How could the voice scare him, Stefan? The voice scared him. He says, I hear your voice. And the Bible says, instead of him saying, speak, Lord, I hear you. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. The Bible said he was stooping in the bushes, avoiding the voice and the God of the voice. How did he get there? And God, who, by the way, is ubiquitous. God, who is everywhere. There is no place that God is not. God asked a question that was both profound and simple. God said, Adam, where are you? What is ironic about it is that God said it because he's omnipresent. He said it while he was walking through the garden, and while he was stooping in the bush with him, and while he was standing over the bush, he said to Adam, where are you? Because I'm where you are, and I'm walking where you hear me, and I'm standing over you. I'm everywhere present at the same time, which cannot mean that I don't know the answer to the question. Good God. That whenever the professor asks a question, it is not an intention for the professor to get information. It is an intention for the professor to reveal to the student awareness that the student doesn't have. Adam, where are you? How did you get here, son? Where are you? Can I take my time with this? Can I take my time with this? He is afraid. He is afraid. He is afraid because he heard the voice of the Lord. And God, watch this, God, because he's not only not bound by time and not bound by space, God was there when it all went down. Like God knows not only where he is, he knows why he's there. Because God was watching when they stood in front of the tree and was having a conversation with the snake. God was watching when they conversed with each other about whether or not we should partake of this fruit or not. God was watching when they partook of the fruit and it changed the game for them. God was watching when their sin revealed their nakedness. And for the first time, they were able to see what they had not seen before. And they were able to understand what they had not understood before. And now in shame, they realized they are both naked. God was there when they ran to a tree to pull fig leaves off of it to cover themselves and to hide from one another. And it is very interesting. They begin to, watch this, they covered what they discovered was different about each other. Y'all ain't get your coffee yet. They covered what they discovered was different about each other. It was interesting. Their differences once united them. Their differences once brought them together. But now their differences have caused division between them. Isn't it deep that two people meet each other and their differences draw them to each other? Their differences draw them to each other, but after sin enters the game, now their differences have divided them. Y'all ain't ready for this today. After sin, they don't look at each other the same way. They once had intimacy. They once were naked and not ashamed. They once were vulnerable to one another. Now when they look at each other, they hide. And at the middle of it all is sin. The same thing happens now, and the division got even broader when God says, how did y'all get in this situation? And Adam immediately, to protect himself, says, the woman you gave me made me do this, which created a deeper divide. Shame and blame, and shame and blame, and shame and blame. Ain't nothing changed. It's still the same in relationships to this day. The only problem is we won't admit that it's sin origin. That the origin is sin. We don't like calling the problems in our relationship sin because then we'd have to repent. We like calling it something novel and deep so that it seems like there's something wrong with the other person or there's something wrong with this connection. But at the end of the day, it is sin that separates us. Excuse my digression. Adam, where are you? And Adam says to God, who, by the way, is always present, who always knows, is never absent. There's no place he is not. That's very interesting to me. I chuckle and I get stressed out over people who always want to ask me, where are you preaching this Sunday? In person. Where are you preaching? Y'all don't deal with this at this service, but people want to know, where are you going to be in person? Because in their mind, there is something more valuable in having me in person than getting the message via technology. And they ask me, and the reality is, I'm not God. I can only be in one place at one time. And I don't even mean to carry anybody, but the more important question is God going to be there? Not is Keith Battle going to be there? Because whether it's a video or not, if God is in the building and if God is speaking to you, it shouldn't even matter how you're getting the message. Anyway, I better stay on my little point here. Adam said, I heard your voice and I was afraid. You were afraid of my voice? And then I was naked, so I hid. Who told you? You get my point. Who told you you were naked? I knew you were naked. Who told you? Let me get off of that. Fear. Everybody say fear. There's so much I can say about fear, but one of the things about fear that we learned from our first parents is that fear makes you hide. Fear makes you hide. One of the reasons why God doesn't want us to be afraid is because being afraid makes you hide. It makes you hide from people you don't want to hurt, you don't want to let down. But hiding is a very unfruitful and unproductive energy. It's an unfruitful behavior. And it is a revelation that we are involved in behavior that is inappropriate. It is a sign of bondage. And it is inhibiting us from connecting and having interdependence with other people because we're hiding. So he says, don't be afraid. And then he says in the verse, he doesn't say what not to be afraid of, but he says why you shouldn't be afraid. He says, don't be afraid because of these 4 words. I am with you. Write this down. That's a promise of presence. Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is here. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will be with you always. The Lord is here. Ooh, that's good right here. God is here, y'all. God is there. He is with you. Let me tell you, have you ever had somebody tell you, listen, if you ever need me, I'm just a... That statement connotes distance. Ooh, that's good right there. Y'all miss that. The fact that I got to call you and you got to, I'm on my way. God is never on his way. He is there. Jehovah Shammah, he is always there. I don't even have to call him. He's there. I don't have to wait on him. I don't have to have somebody say, I'm just 20 minutes away. Just give me a call. We'll be right there. He is always there. Always there. My son, one of my sons, shared with me a financial challenge that he had recently. And he said something happened and he had a gap in his financial situation. His financial rhythm was thrown off and he had this gap and he was a little frustrated. And so, he told me what the situation was. He told me, what the gap was financially for him. And then I took it upon myself to give him a little financial lesson and how to manage his money better, to prepare for gaps like that. And then we ended the conversation, but then something led me to reach back out to him, and I reached back out to him, and I just wanted to make sure he was okay and get that number again. And he says, this is where the shortfall is, Dad, but I'm good. And I felt better about that. And then I responded to him via text, because we were texting at that time. I said, well, son, let me let you know something. If you ever need me, I got you. If you ever need me, I got you. Now, that wasn't rhetoric. That was calculated. It was calculated. I didn't just say that for a hashtag or to be cute. I said it because I understood I was capable of meeting that need. It was a promise I knew I could meet because I based it on his need and my capacity. Yeah, I knew what his bill was, and I knew what my resource was. And when I lined his bill up to my resource, I said, I got you. You understand what I'm saying? See, if I can do that in the natural realm with my limited resources, how much more can God look at your situation and say, I know what you owe, and I know what I got. I know what you need, and I know what I got. I know what you got. I know I can guarantee you I got you. Guarantee you I got you. I'm with 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 you. So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. For I am your God. Discouragement, discouragement, discouragement. I started thinking about something recently, and I started thinking about this emotional grid that I think we flow on as people. Like, I think we go from, like, this is not exhaustive, but work with me. So we go happiness, then you have contentment, and then you have frustration, and we all have stuff that frustrates us, and then you have discouragement. Yeah, I like that. And this is kind of a grid of our emotional continuum. It's not exhaustive. It's not an exhaustive emotional spectrum, but it's sort of a flow. Like, all of us there are times when we're happy. And happiness is circumstantial. Like, I'm happy because things are pretty cool right now. And I'm generally happy. But then there are times when you move from happiness to contentment. It ain't really that things are well. You're just grateful. It's a mature place. That I'm grateful for everything he's done. I'm grateful for everything I have. I'm grateful for everything he's brought me through. It's a place of contentment. But then sometimes we get frustrated. And there are things in our lives or people that upset us and make us angry. In fact, this is actually not a bad thing. It shows you care. In fact, the Bible says, be this, but don't sin. Be angry, but don't sin. So there's a way to be frustrated without it becoming sin. It means that I'm not satisfied with mediocrity. I want this and you to be better. That's called frustration. But the place you never want to get to is a place of discouragement. Because discouragement means I've given up. I don't even care anymore. That is and God says, do not be discouraged. That's why when I looked at Psalm 27, verse 14, and it says, wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And I said, wait, it says twice in the verse, wait on the Lord. I get that. That's about patience. But what does good courage have to do with waiting? Good courage. Listen. Courage by definition is the stuff I need to keep going. It's the temerity to keep fighting. It's the hope to keep grinding. But if I am encouraged, then I have been infused with the courage to keep going. But if I ever get discouraged, that means I am without courage. And whenever I'm without courage, I'm at a place where I'm so depressed, I want to quit. And God says, never get that low. You can be mad, you can be happy, you can be content, but never let yourself get discouraged. Never let yourself want to quit. And here's why he says not to do it. He says, because here's the promise, I am your God. Write this down. That's a promise of relationship. He says the first promise is a promise of presence. This is a promise of relationship. Okay, how can I do this? A promise of relationship. I am your God. I'm not just with you because I'm with everybody. I cannot not be with everybody. I'm with the drug dealer right now. I'm with the crackhead right now. I'm with the person who's planning a murder right now. I'm with a prostitute selling her body on the street right now. I'm with the person who's manipulative right now. I cannot not be with everybody. I may be with everybody, but I'm not everybody's God. That's a relationship. Is there anybody here that's grateful that he's more than just present with you? He is your God. Hey, Asa, come here, Asa. Come here, Stefan. Come here, Ace. Come here, Stefan. Come here, Irvin. Let me see who else. Ain't too many. Come here, Kareem. Ain't too many young people at 8 o'clock. You have to do what we got to do. Now, this is an illustration. I'm going to illustrate something. One of my jobs that I do is I'm the chaplain of the Washington Wizards, and I'm the chaplain of the Capital City Go-Go. And so when I go to work, like tonight, I don't just preach for service, I got to go do chapel at the game. Poor me, right? Then I get to stay for the game. But when I go to these venues, there is highly secure areas because there's talent and they're athletes. And so there's certain places where you cannot move through the arena without credentials. And so I've been given credentials to have areas where I can move in locker rooms and spaces where there are people that you can't move in without credentials. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I took them to the game today and we got to the game, and I don't abuse those credentials. I don't take anybody in the back areas with me. But let's just say for whatever reason, I need them to move with me through the arena. If I'm going through the arena and I've got my credentials, then they don't have to be afraid because they're with me. There's a blessing in proximity. That's the blessing of presence. That's the promise of presence. But there's a difference. The difference between presence and relationship is that this one right here is my son. We have a genetic link. I am blood connected to him. You understand what I'm saying? Which means that because relationship trumps proximity, if we get into the arena and the head of security says, Pastor Battle, just because of the nature of today's game, I'm only going to let you be able to take one person with you. Y'all ain't getting this today. Y'all ain't getting this today. See, relationship trumps proximity. It ain't no question who's going with me because this is my child. I'm his father. See, here's what I need you to understand. It is far more important that you not just come to church and be around God and be around the people of God. What matters is that God says, I am your God. I am your Father, and I will open doors for you that no man can close. And I will get you in spaces you don't even have the qualifications to get into, because God is your Father. Somebody praise him for a relationship. Yeah, I am your God. I am your God. I am your God. That's why you don't have to trip. I am your God. I got you. We have a blood connection. There's a genetic connection. You say, how we got a blood connection with the Lord? I'm glad you asked. There's a place called the Via Dolorosa, where the Lord walked up Calvary's hill and he shed his blood on the cross, because without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. And the blood that Jesus shed for me way back on Calvary, y'all ain't ready for this today. The blood that gives me strength from day to day, it will never lose its power. That's my blood connection. You don't have a relationship with God, you need a relationship with God. You can just ask him, God, I want a relationship with you. And he says, you do it through my son. Hey, I'm almost done. Sit down. I'm almost done. Listen to this, y'all. He says, I got two promises already. A promise of presence, I'm with you. A promise of relationship, I am your God. That's critical. But it gets better, y'all. In the second half of the verse, there are three verbs. Write this down. The promise of action. There are three verbs in the second half of the verse. Everything else he said up until now has nothing to do with movement. He says, I am with you. I am your God. I am. That sounds familiar. That sounds like what he told Moses when Moses said, what am I supposed to tell Pharaoh? And I'm coming up in here taking his slaves from, what should I tell Pharaoh? He says, tell him I am has sent you. And that same I am, Isaiah, is the same God who's got you. That same I am, Zion. I am. But there's three verbs in the second half of the verse. He says, I'll strengthen you. I'm going to help you. And I'm going to hold you up. Ooh, that's good. I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to help you. Watch this, y'all. So they're really two I ams and three I wills. Ooh, that's good. He says, I will strengthen you. And then you could infer, he says, I will help you. And I will hold you up. Now, what's good about that, y'all, is that we move from a God who's just stating what he is. In other words, he's stating a state of being. He moves from a state of being to a plan of action. I am with you, and I am your God. But I'm telling you, when you're in a fight, if I'm in a fight, it's cool to know you're there and you're my Father. But that ain't going to keep me from getting whooped. But when you say, not only am I here, but I will step up in this fight, and I'm going to strengthen you, and I'm going to help you, and I'm going to hold you up. Now we're talking right there. He says, I got three promises, three verbs. I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to strengthen you. Why is that so important? It's important because the things that are bothering us and trouble us in our life, they're usually weighty. They're heavy. It's exhausting. It fatigues you to be up under something. And he says, watch this. He says, I'm going to give you strength. I'd rather him say, I'm going to get you out. Wouldn't you rather have deliverance? There are churches that name themselves deliverance. And the reason for it is because we like stuff to be done quickly. But God is more interested in development than deliverance. Deliverance is swift, but development sticks. Development lasts. And even though I love for him to get me out of it, see, I want God to get me out of stuff. But God says I'm trying to get stuff out of you. Y'all missed that right there. Y'all missed that. I'm trying to get him to get me out of some stuff, and God's keeping me in the stuff because there's some stuff he wants to get out of me. So I'm going to keep you in it until you stop being so angry. I'm going to keep you in it until you stop manipulating people. I'm going to keep you in it until you stop having to control everything. I'm going to keep you in it until you stop being so perverted and so nasty. I'm going to keep you in it till your insecurities disappear. I'm going to keep you in it till you stop acting like a scared, immature little baby. I'm going to keep you in it till you're not controlled by other people's opinion. I'm going to keep you in it till you're mature. And who am I preaching to in here? I'm going to keep you in it because I ain't trying to get you out of stuff. I'm trying to get stuff out of you. So I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to strengthen you. And I'm going to help you. Woo. Have you ever needed help? You ever been in a situation where you felt all alone? I got to do this by myself. And then somebody says, I'm coming over to help you. You ever got help at the right time? And let me tell you something, wherever it was and whoever it was, they were sent by God. So while you're shaking somebody's hand for helping you, don't forget to go like this and thank him for keeping his promise. He says, I'll help you and I'll hold you up with my victorious right hand. God has a right. See, this is a wartime. They're in a war. A victorious right hand. What God is saying is, I got a right hand like Deontay Wilder. I got a bronze bomber right hand. I got a knockout right hand. He says, I got a hand of victory. And what he literally means is, I will hold your hand. I'm going to hold your hand. We just came back from our staff retreat. We just came back yesterday from our staff retreat and staff and family. And so we take our families away. And on this retreat, we went to a place called Laser Dome or Laser Zone. Which one was it? Laser Dome. So we go to this place called Laser Dome. And we're in Laser Dome. And my granddaughter is there with her mom. And they're playing laser tag. It's a bunch of people playing laser tag. And, you know, I'm just with my wife. And we're having a relaxed time. And, and here comes my daughter with her daughter, handing her to me, saying, can you watch her? Because she had been so intimidated by the environment of laser tag. And so now I'm babysitting. So now I got to go everywhere. I just walk in every machine. She won't play everything. So something catches her eye, and it was called a party room. Now, nobody was in the party room. It was a room that was dark, and it had like party lights in it, but it was dark, and it was empty, and it was a bit uncertain. And so she said she was looking, and she wanted to go in there. So we were standing beside each other, so I started walking, and we started going into the room. And I walked in the room, and I heard her from behind me. She said, K-Pa, hold my hand. And I thought she was still there, but I looked back, and I saw her frightened at the entrance. And she said, K-Pa, hold my hand. So I went back to hold her hand, because she was saying to me, I'm willing to go. I just need you to hold my hand. So I walked with her, and I held her hand, and we walked into this place, and the place never changed. It was still dark. It was still uncertain. But her confidence went up because of who was holding her hand. I'm telling you, there ain't nothing you can't walk through if he's got your hand. You're holding my hand. That's why I said, my hand is trembling, but you can't tell because he's holding it. My hand is shaking, but you can't tell because he's holding it. He's got my hand. I'm almost done. I'm going to show y'all one more thing, and I'm done. I'm going to show you one more thing. Can I show you one more thing? When I was studying this, I looked up those three verbs, strengthen and help and hold up. And all three verbs were past tense in Hebrew. They're past tense verbs. And it messed me up because I'll get stuck on something like that. And the reason why it messed me up is because the words introducing the verbs are future tense. You got three past tense verbs and three future tense introductions of the past tense verbs. I will is future. God says, I will strengthen you. That's future. I will help you. That's future. I will hold you up. That's future. The definition of a will by itself is an intent in the future. It is my legal document that shows my intention for my loved ones when I am gone, and that's future. When I say I will, that means I promise something's going to happen. I will come by your house later. I will meet you at the game. I will come by to visit you. Those are promises of the future. But here's the problem, y'all. All three verbs are past tense. Now, you're an instructor, Elder McCorkle. You know and I know that you cannot have a sentence where the verb is not in agreement with the rest of the sentence. How in the world are you going to have how can God have the audacity to put something right in the middle of the Bible and it's got past tense verbs and it's got future tense clauses? That you can't have a sentence like that. It must be congruent. There must be comprehension in all of this. And this is what got me, y'all. Y'all got to, this is going to bless you. Here's what God showed me. He says, that's exactly how I meant it. I meant to give you a future tense promise and a past tense reminder. Oh, whoa. Y'all missed that? I'm out. I'm going to leave y'all alone. Here's what God says. I will strengthen you, and I have strengthened you. I will help you, and I have helped you. You get it, don't you? I will hold you up, and I have held you up. So if you ever want to know if you can trust my promise, all you got to do is look back at what I'm out. Who am I preaching to in here? Is there anybody in here that can tell from your history how good God has been to you? I dare you to throw your history up against your today and say he's the same yesterday. Listen. Get in your mind right now the lowest point in your life. I don't know how low it was. The lowest point you can think of when you didn't think you would come out of it. Just get it in your mind. Let me tell you what I don't know. I don't even know when it was for you. I don't know where you were. But here's what I do know. You survived it. And the reason why you survived it is because he strengthened you and he helped you and he held you up. I wish I could hoop like you. Somebody here got a medical report. Somebody here got a doctor's report. Come here, Greg. And the doctors, I ain't talking about one of them doctor's reports where they said drink some fluids and get plenty of rest. I'm talking about one of them reports where you go on Google. You got to search what kind of treatment plan we going to get. And what kind of plan we going to do to work this out. And how we going to make it out on the other side. I don't know who you are, and I don't know when it happened. But I know this. You are here right now, and you've come this far because he strengthened you. And he helped you. And he held you up. Somebody here knows what it's like to lose a job. Yeah. They told you the job is no longer yours. They said they can't fund it anymore. No more money for your department. And you were stuck in a situation of shame and pain. So shocked you didn't even know how to respond. You said, how are we going to make it? How am I going to get through this? What am I going to do next? I don't know when it happened. And I don't know where it happened. And I don't know who you work for. But here's what I know. God has been faithful to you. And you haven't missed a meal. You still got a roof over your head. Your children are still clothed. Is there anybody in here that knows it happened because he strengthened me? He helped me. Oh God. And he held me up. Somebody in here fights mental health illness. Every winter you got to hold on and say, God, I hope the medication works. And the meditation. And the yoga. And the prayer. Just keep my mind from collapsing. And I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But here's what I know. You're in here right now in your right mind because God strengthens you. So I may not be able to name your situation, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds right now to let God know that whatever he strengthened you in, and whatever he helped you through, and whatever he held you up in, give him a praise. 30 seconds. Clap, shout, run. I don't care what you do, but let God know if you didn't do it, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, if the truth be told, it's because we lost a job. It's because of the diagnosis. It's because we had to bury somebody we loved that we're closer to God now than we were before that happened, because we had to lean on him. Everybody stand up. I've been standing the whole time. Get up. How dare you not stand? If you're going to give a standing ovation to the President of the United States and to the head of your organization, how you not give a standing ovation to God who made a way for you? When you got a testimony, you can't even tell it. Here's what I want us to leave with. He said, I got 5 promises for you. Put that little picture up for me. He says, I got 5 promises for you. The pinky promise. He said, I got 5 of them. I'm with you. I'm your God. I'll strengthen you. I'll help you. And I'll hold you up. I promise. Yeah. I promise. So whenever you're having a rough time, nobody has to even know what you're doing. Just go like this. You said you're with me. You said you're my God. You said you strengthened me. You said you helped me. You said you hold me up. Ooh, God will hold you up and keep you from falling. And what I love about him, he'll hold you up when you fall. Some people will let you go if you fall. But we serve a God who will not let us go. Thank you, Lord, for your promises. Now, Father, as we leave this service, help us to hold on to your truth. May we never depart from your truth. Strengthen us by your word. May we hold on to it. Let us not operate just in our own psychology, in our human wisdom. May we operate and trust your word and your promise. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope that you enjoyed today's message. So listen, if you would like to help us reach more people just like you, then I would like to encourage you to click the Give button at the top of your screen. Also, please note that past sermons are made readily available online for your viewing pleasure. And we hope that through our ministry, you're able to experience God, be engaged in community, be equipped for ministry, and empowered to serve. We'll see you next time.